Hey, Ryan. I'm here with Ryan O'Hara today. Good to see you, man. How are you?
Thanks for having me on, Taylor. I appreciate it. Yeah, we first met out in Vermont in Burlington, and I got to meet a little bit more about your company and what you guys are doing. And I'm really excited. I put on my nice sweater today. I could have wore a grubby shirt, but I'm wearing a nice sweater for you today.
It's good. I like it. I like the stripes. I feel like you don't see stripes as much these days, but like you could get old school, kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, me definitely, definitely. You know what stinks for me is when I do videos and stuff now. A lot of the videos I do for Pitchfire, I use a green screen, and I can't wear green because if I wear green, my shirt gets canceled out. So I have to be very careful about what color shirts I buy when I'm wearing them for work.
Is green your favorite color? Is that
It probably would be otherwise. So that's kind of the tragic part about it. I can't do a blue screen because my eyes are blue and they look like a weird alien if I cancel out blue in my video editing. So green it is, and I just basically have to avoid wearing green stuff.
is that a green screen or is that a real background?
This is a real background. My green screen, hopefully it doesn't disconnect my camera, is literally on the other side. Oh, I can't flip it. I can't flip it. You're not going to see it because my camera is on a tripod and I can't fix it. Green screen's right behind the camera. So I have two studios in this room and I flip them. This is my analog studio that's real, like that you can touch stuff,
Yeah.
and then I have like a whole digital studio behind me in the room that I'm in.
Okay. Yeah, because I love your videos like that you put on LinkedIn. So you're a lot of times using a green screen with those. That like
Yeah, the ones
thing.
anything with a colored background is usually me using a green screen. Anything with this in the background is usually real. That's kind of the typical rules of thumb. I used to have a monitor that would play a fireplace in the background while I was talking, and I did that since Lead IQ. There's a whole story there, but I my laptop that streams it just has notifications come up like crazy now because I'm getting calls and emails and bothered by people all day, and I can't mute them. So like I stopped doing a green screen, or I stopped doing the fireplace in the background because of that.
Ah, I remember the fireplace. The fireplace you used like what was the origin story of that?
So I went to a conference when I used to be a VP of marketing and growth at Lead IQ, and we went to a conference at
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, and Sales Loft was having a user conference. We sponsored and had a booth, and we put a lot of time into having like a booth reel that would show the product so that people walk by would just keep looping and showing the product. And for 2 days, like our booth was okay, but the traffic wasn't great. The last day, our guy that had the laptop with the video flew home early because he had an emergency in his family. And so we didn't have a video for the last day because no one thought of getting the copy of the file. So I just went and found a fireplace online and put it up on the screen and streamed it. And we had more booth traffic from the fireplace in that day than we did all the other days combined. And I was like, I'm going to just start doing this at everything that I do for videos and stuff. And it's kind of funny because I eventually started a company called Pitchfire, what like kind of has some symbolism with the fire a little bit.
Is that why? Was like the fire like you were bringing that back, or like that still just somehow, or what?
It was accidental a little bit. So like what happened for me when when I first started Pitchfire, we originally were called Request for Meeting. And it was like a marketplace where you could go like buy meetings with people. If you wanted to build pipeline, you could be like, hey, here's $100, come meet with me. And it kind of didn't work. We had to pivot the company. And when we pivoted the company, I'm like, I really don't want to use Request for Meeting. It's too hard to remember. My brother kept calling it Quest Meet, like in my family dinners and stuff when I'd go get dinner with my mom. I'm like, that's bad branding if my own brother can't remember my company.
Yeah.
So I started trying to come up with a better name. And it kind of, I tried to think about like what's something that brings people together, because we're trying to bring buyers and sellers together to at least exchange conversations back and forth. And one of the things I kept thinking about is like in New Hampshire growing up, like every weekend I'd be going to a different bonfire. But unfortunately, Bonfire is already a company name. And then I started to mesh words together, and Pitchfire was the one that kind of was like, oh, this makes a ton of sense. And it kind of like just when I said it, like if I felt like I had an out of body experience, like, holy crap, that's the brand. Let's go. And I ended up actually, for people listening to this that want to update their domain name, I actually had to lease the domain name. So I didn't own it for the first year. I rented it from somebody that owned it. I was like, hey, can I pay you a monthly fee to borrow the domain since you just have it parked? And when I have money, I'll buy it. And we bought it when we raised money a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was just doing domain searches the other day for a client that has like a new startup, and that's a whole thing trying to get like the right domain. It's rough. It's rough out there.
It's if you want a .com, you're gonna be spending a lot of time looking. But yeah, it's funny. I have a friend that rebranded his company, and he just picked like he just went to the marketplace and was like, "Yeah, that's our company now." And now that's they like completely pivoted. It's like a made up word.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Okay, so and it was when you were at Lead IQ. That was when I first came across you, I think, on LinkedIn, and I just thought you were really funny and smart.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
When, and then when we were both at the Drive event last year in Vermont, that's when we met, and I was like, you. I was like, I've been following you.
It's kind of funny because like I left the Drive event actually I went as a student. So like someone gave me a pass to go for free because I missed signing up. And for people not knowing, we're talking about Dave Gerhardt's Exit 5 community did an event called Drive. It was really awesome. I like totally want to go next year too. But I went as a student and I saw a bunch of people there that like recognized me and were like, where have you been? And I was like, crap, I'm doing a bad job marketing Pitchfire if they don't know where I've been, which made me like super self-conscious and start thinking about like, I need to up my marketing game more.
It happens. I've been there. In fact, like I go through ebbs and flows, and I've been through those ebbs too, where people are like, where are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Are you okay? And I'm like, I just haven't been on LinkedIn lately. I'm fine.
You know what the problem is for me is like, I went from working at a Series B startup. Like I climbed up on LinkedIn because I did video really early. When they first came out with video, I requested beta access and I was one, like, it helped me a lot putting LinkedIn videos up, but like as Lead IQ grew and I had 200 people working with me, like it became a lot easier to like get stuff seen with all the customers that we're in front of and all that. Like, I'd go to conferences and get coverage and meet people. Then they'd add me on LinkedIn because I was a recent connection, I'd be on feeds. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm like in a small 4-person startup, like you're kind of you don't get that same amplification you might get if you're at a larger or mid-sized company.
Right. Yeah, it's harder. It's definitely like it's a lot of elbow grease for sure, I mean, we're learning that ourselves. So, okay, so I want to talk about Pitchfire because explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. So tell me what you're doing and the whole premise of getting paid to be sold to.
Okay. Wow, here we go. All right, everyone. So I'll tell you a little bit of backstory. Flashback to 2016 when I was a VP of Growth and Marketing at Lead IQ. One of the things that happened was we used to do this annual state of prospecting. We'd ask our users what their average reply rate was on cold emails and what their average connect rate was on cold calls. The first year we did the survey, the average reply rate on a cold email was 6%, and the average connect rate on a cold call was 10%. In 2021, the last year that we did it, we had thousands of people take this thing. The average reply rate on a cold email was 0.7%. And the average connect rate on a cold call was 3%. So I just saw this and was like, holy crap, we can't keep depending on inboxes and phones as a way of getting in front of someone and trying to build pipeline. And so I started to think about like, well, how do I get people to, build pipeline with strangers if they don't know them? And I started to like jam around these different ideas, and one thing fell into another, and we kind of discovered this concept that I call paid prospecting. And the idea is that you have a more efficient, ethical, and cost-effective way for you to get in front of somebody by compensating them to engage with your sales team. It's not paying for a meeting. We tried that. That doesn't work. If you want to ask me that, I can tell you about that story. It's paying for a response. Paying someone to give you a response to your sales pitch is like the exact sweet spot that works. And that's what we're doing at Pitchfire. We allow you to deploy paid prospecting across your go-to-market function anywhere you are. If you're in marketing, you can do it. If you're in sales, you can do it. If you're in demand gen, you can do it. We have something that makes it really easy for you to go do paid prospecting.
Okay, so like let's break it down on both sides.
Yep.
So I'm the company wanting to sell, wanting to prospect.
Yeah,
I can have an account with you, and everyone who takes a meeting with me, I'm paying them.
No, you're only paying them to respond. So that's the way we get around some stuff. The reason we actually started as a paid meeting platform where you could go buy meetings with people. And what we found out is it doesn't work. If I pay $200 for someone to take a meeting with me, 5 minutes in, they're like, oh man, this isn't a fit, but I got to hang out for another 25 minutes. And then a lot of them will be afraid to tell you they're not interested because you paid them. And then the account executive, the same thing happens. They'll know it's a bad fit, but they hang out for another 20 minutes because they well, my marketing team paid for this lead. I should make sure I do the full pitch anyway, just in case. And what we ultimately found is that buying meetings doesn't work. The sweet spot is paying someone less than what you pay for a meeting to get them to just respond. And so if I pitch you, let's say you're someone I want to pitch, I send you a pitch in Pitchfire. You can tell me whether you're interested or not. If you're interested, you book to start a conversation with the person, and it links right to your calendar. If you're not interested, you give me a reason why, and I can move on to a different deal. And now I don't have to go chase you for another 3 months trying to get a response. And the idea is that you pay less for a response, but 1 in 3 of those will actually turn into a meeting.
Okay. So the person on the other end, let's talk about them. Like the people getting pitched or responding to pitches. How does that work exactly? Like, how do you?
Yeah. So there's kind of 4 ways that you can do it on Pitchfire. The first way is, let's say you do a marketing webinar or something. Like, do you guys ever do webinars or anything like that?
I have done a lot of webinars, not lately. We need to. Mostly we just do this podcast right now.
Me too. I need to do it too. A lot of the time when companies do webinars, they default will just send a thank you email with a recording. And what we recommend you do instead is take the attendee list of people that go on the webinar. In the webinar, be like, hey, listen, we're going to send you a paid pitch on Pitchfire after this webinar. Go in and tell us whether you're interested or not. If you are, I'll book with our sales team. If you're not, you tell us that you're not interested. I can use that for lead scoring and know that you're not interested and collect the information on why you're not interested or not. And you can actually just go make a pitch and then send that link out to people in your marketing database that have registered for stuff. And we recommend running this because it helps. Even if you get, I'll give you an example. I did a webinar with someone that had 200 people go to it. I yielded 24 responses and 12 of them booked meetings with me. And it cost me $25 a pop to get a meeting, basically. I'm sorry, $50 a pop to get a meeting because half of them said they weren't interested. But you could go deploy this as part of your marketing arm, and these people don't need to be in Pitchfire to do it. Now, if they answer your pitch and receive payment for answering that pitch, they automatically get added into our marketplace. So we have about 2,600 people right now that work in B2B that you can literally go in and just directly pitch because they've answered a pitch before for money.
Okay, interesting. And how much are they getting paid? 25, on average, $25 per request?
So when you send a pitch to someone, I tried to set it up kind of like Google AdWords. For people that aren't familiar with PPC or digital ads and stuff, you set a budget and then you can bid for how much you want to get in front of that person. And you go up against all these different companies. Pitchfire works the same way. When you send a pitch to someone, you could choose from $25 all the way to $2,000 how much you want to pay them to get a response. And if you pay more, you end up at the top of the inbox. The average person on Pitchfire makes about $63 a pitch right now. So some people will go over. A good example, I'll get a client that if they close someone, they get $25,000 as a baseline annually. So they literally will pay $300 to get a response because it's worth it to them. But if you're a smaller company that doesn't have that kind of retainer or a big contract value, you can offer less and you could still get a pitch in. But most pitches start at $25.
Interesting. Do you see people doing this as a side hustle? I just have to ask. Is it something where marketers will be oh, I can just get pitched and make money on the side?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But the thing is, you're still getting the achievement that you want as a salesperson or a marketer. I mean, I pay, the average company will pay $3,500 to book a conversation with the person that's the decision maker if they're in B2B. You start doing the math out. On our platform, if you send 3 pitches, 1 will turn into a meeting. 1 in 3 will turn into a meeting. 1 in 3 will not respond, and 1 in 3 will say they're not interested and tell you why. If you start doing the math out there and you take the $63 average pitch amount, you're literally paying $180 to produce a meeting on Pitchfire. That's a steal compared to some of these other things you use.
Yeah. So, I had a question and then it just like totally left me.
No, you can get it back. So you're bringing up side hustles. Here's the
Yeah.
thing that we also can do. If your company wants to run paid prospecting campaigns, you can go give us a target account list of contacts and people that you've been trying to break into, and we'll go run campaigns at them offering them money to answer a sales pitch for you. And if they don't, we do this for free. The only time you'll pay
Okay.
money is if the person gets back to you.
So you help companies, you help brands get in front of the right people.
Yeah, we'll coach people on what to say in their pitch, what target audience to go after. I would like to eventually get to a point where I have enough data where I can be like, hey, these are some target accounts we think you should go after, but we don't have that yet. We're still in year 2 of doing this. So, but the concepts here are like, think of it like another channel. You go and put budget toward paid marketing and Facebook ads and LinkedIn and Google ads and all that stuff. And then you have your SDR team doing prospecting. We're not telling you to stop doing those things. What we're saying is this is a third channel that we can run for you to go get extra prospecting leads in. And even if the response rate is low, let's say we go run these for people that aren't in Pitchfire and we only get a 1% response rate. If you have a list of 2,000 or 3,000 people that we're reaching out to every week for you, we're literally talking an extra 1 or 2 meetings a week. And it doesn't cost you anything if they don't, for the other ones that see your pitch.
Yeah, I mean that costs less than a lot of LinkedIn ads. Like when you look at the,
Yeah, because we're running it on email, the targeting on it is literally better than anything else that's out there. Because you run a LinkedIn ad and you might be like, oh, I want to go after CMOs of Fortune 500 companies at this target account list. LinkedIn's still going to deliver ads to people that don't work at those companies. If someone's a product advisor for a company or something like that, this is true. The person seeing your pitch is literally the person you're trying to get to see your pitch.
Okay, so I remember the question. So what's in a pitch? Is it just like a short, like 90-second video sent an email or what?
Right now, it's 1,000-character text-based pitch, but we have some new features coming out. We have video. You're going to be able to put attachments in. This stuff, the hard part for us is we want to try and make sure that we don't make a pitch too hard for a prospect to look at or they won't respond. So like we're trying to figure out the right balance there, and we're doing some tests and talking to users right now about it. One feature that is really neat that we're working on right now that's been coming up a lot is a new view called Conversation View. And the idea would be like, if I go pitch you and you respond and say, yeah, I'm interested, let's talk. One of the things that we've kind of discovered recently is about 45% of decision makers at companies are introverts and don't actually feel comfortable going on a Zoom with a complete stranger they've never met before. So in the past, a sales rep would be forcing these people to go on calls, and they really don't want to. I mean, especially if you sell to IT or data center operations people, These are people that literally hiss at light and hide in like caves and work on servers and stuff. The last thing they want to do is talk to a salesperson. Conversation View, what we're going to do is you pay to get the answer from the person, and that person can opt to start a conversation with you. And they every 30 days will recharge you to keep that conversation open, so you don't have deals go close cold and just ignore you. And that person, the buyer, has to keep in response to you every 7 days. And if they auto not respond, it automatically archives the pitch and will kill it, and you don't get charged the next 30 days. So we're trying to build a little bit of this model where like you don't just prospect on Pitchfire, you can literally do all your communication with the person you're trying to pitch on there.
And is there like CRM integration with that or anything like that? Or is that on the horizon? Maybe?
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. We are working on a HubSpot integration, and we're playing around with a Salesforce integration. I think part of the reason that we haven't done this part yet is because those systems rely on email addresses, and we don't use email. So like anything that you do on Pitchfire is done on Pitchfire. Your Pitchfire link is almost like an access point, like an email address or a phone number.
Okay. It's almost more like, in a way, it's not like a community, but like in a way it's sort of
It's got some vibes. It's got a little bit of like, I'm going to play hacky sack before class for 5 minutes with my friends. Yeah. There's a little bit of that.
Okay. All right. So you were telling me about category creation, that being a bit of an offering you have or something that you're working with your clients on. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So a lot of people that try and get companies to go and get traction and get awareness. It's really hard if you have a bunch of features and it's really complicated. And what we've been doing at Pitchfire is I used to have to peddle people on this B2B marketplace with buyers and sellers. And then, by the way, we also have an inbox plugin and Chrome plugin you can use where, like, if someone prospects you and you want to send them the Pitchfire, you can reply back in one click with our Chrome plugin and like direct them there. The problem with all this stuff is it's so complicated. And so when I went to the Exit 5 event, it kind of inspired me to think about doing this, deploying a category creation playbook. And if you're new to marketing and you don't know what this is, the idea is that you sell people on this new world that's happening, and your company is a new category. In our case, Pitchfire is a paid prospecting platform. The category I'm trying to sell you is this new channel called paid prospecting. And you could be a prospect that gets paid from paid prospecting, or you could be a seller that's paying people on paid prospecting. But I'm selling you on the importance of this category instead of leading and selling people on Pitchfire and all these bells and whistles and features. I'm selling you on this world that paid prospecting's in. And the reason it exists is really important because today it takes 220 actions for someone to get a positive response from a prospect. On Pitchfire, it takes 3. That's because of paid prospecting. You're creating more incentive for someone to get back. If you want to do this stuff, the framework is pretty simple. You need to not sell your product. You need to sell people in the category you're making.
How did you define your category? And like, what recommendations do you have for people when they're maybe going down the lane of category creation?
Yeah,
I
so
love category creation, by the way. Like, this is one of my favorite topics.
Me too. I think a lot of companies do it when they shouldn't. Like, we actually, like, I remember there was a point at Lead IQ where, like, the exec team, we were all doing like huddles and be like, can we make a category? Could it be a category? And I'm like, I feel like we're forcing it. Couple situations that make you do it is like, if you have a product with a bunch of different features that are like hard to describe, it might be a fit. The way we came up with the idea of paid prospecting is around November, I started to notice that people were posting on LinkedIn and tagging me on post anytime that someone did a post about like adding a charge, like you can add charging to your Calendly. So like you could make a Calendly and be like, hey, you need to put a credit card in to meet with me. If there's another company, like there's a company called Intro that like you can pay someone money to go take a meeting with them for advice. And what kept happening is I kept seeing people tag me on these things because the thing they were connecting with Pitchfire and recalling was this concept of like paying someone for their time, whether it's time to write a response to something. And so I started to see that. And the area that we're kind of trying to control is everything before someone becomes a customer. So that's prospecting. We took the words out of people's mouth and now we're doing paid prospecting as this channel. And honestly, it's been working so well. It's so much easier to talk about Pitchfire on these calls with people. And when I get on sales calls, my sales team's using the exact same language that I am. And it's because of that category creation. Everybody's bought into this category. It's just a question of teaching people in the world the gospel of this new category.
Yeah, I like it. I like the name of yours. I've been coming up with ours, and I think I'm at a point where I'm about ready to start talking about it a lot more.
Oh man, I want to grill you and ask questions, but I don't want to make you spill beans if you're not ready to.
No, you can grill me.
So what are you doing? What do you think about what are you playing around with for a category?
So at first I started talking with Creative Shizzle when we launched our design on subscription service. Really thought about it as design on demand, but we are about to launch a content marketing like writing platform into the design services that we provide. And so I've really been thinking about it as creative on demand or content on demand, but I really think it's creative because it's basically like if you are a small team and you don't have the bandwidth or the in-house support, or you don't want to like deal with managing freelancers and posting jobs on Upwork and stuff like that, you can just come to us, have a subscription, and you have creative on demand at all times.
All right, so it's good. Well, I'm not. It's not the actual idea I want to poke holes on. For the people listening, I want to like help them with like how to think about it with positioning, right? So
great.
there's a bunch of companies that are out there that have done this before. The most popular one that we both are probably familiar with, that like because we were at Exit 5, was Gerhardt's company Drift. I'm sorry, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and be blunt. Drift is literally identical to Intercom, qualified live person. There's like 90 companies that were all doing chatbots on websites. But what Drift did is they went to market and were like, oh, it's not a chatbot. We are a conversation marketing platform. Right. And we have a bunch of tools that make it easy for you to deploy a conversation marketing channel in your company. That's a no-brainer. It's so much easier to sell. And the other thing it is it's contagious because you can go to into a sales meeting with someone, and instead of getting in a bake-off with someone like Intercom and being like, we have this feature, they have this feature, what you can do instead is you can go into the meeting and they can be like, hey, listen, all these people that are coming to your website are millennials. They're the ones that are going to be making decisions and signing contracts with your company now. Guess how millennials communicate? Text message, chat. They grew up with AOL Instant Messenger. They grew up with iMessage. They grew up talking to people over chat. They use Slack at work every day and Microsoft Teams. They're not hanging out and going through and like filling out forms and going and hanging out in their inbox all day. In fact, the average person that's a millennial spends less than 3 hours a day in their inbox versus 10 years ago, it might have been 20 hours a week that they'd be in their inbox. Yeah. See that story? I'm able to tell that, and I don't even work at Drift. And that's because they're selling you on this world. Like for me, I'm going to people and saying, hey, the average company spends $3,500 to produce a meeting, and the average company, 80% of them are missing their pipeline goal. What's causing that? Well, people don't want to respond to cold calls and cold emails anymore. They're sick of it. There needs to be more incentive. How can I prove that? Look at all the side hustle and gig economy. How many people have more than one job? Or other posts on LinkedIn? Like 40% of the US economy is 1099 now. Like I can tell all these stories about these trends in this world happening and saying this is where it's going. You need to be in this world or you're going to be left back. And so you want to do the same thing. One of the classic sales techniques that they talk about with there's a really famous framework called Challenger that people talk about, you need to give people insight on a problem behind the problem. So if you can do that in your pitch, I don't go to people and say I go to people and say 80% of companies are missing their B2B pipeline number. That's a problem. But I'm going to tell you the real problem behind it. It's that 40% of that is supposed to come from outbound prospecting, and the roads that we use to prospect people are broken and don't work anymore. Now I'm going behind that problem and peeling back a layer. So for you, when you talk about this and you're doing the category creation, let's say it's on-demand content. You might talk about I'll give you a really good example, actually. You could steal this. Feel free to steal this.
Probably will.
Marketing today is about quantity, not quality. And it is, if you go back 10 years ago and you worked in a marketing department, you might put one blog post out a month. And you might do a video clip. You might make a bunch of clips and throw them on YouTube, but you usually would put the full episode. Today, it's the late night show. Someone at the Exit 5 conference called it Broadway. I was kind of upset because I always tell people it's like a late night show. Johnny Carson, Conan O'Brien, Dave Letterman. I won't say Jay Leno because I don't like Jay Leno. Those guys had to do a show 4 days a week, no matter what. If they were sick, they didn't feel well, something had to come out every day. That's what marketing's like today. And if you're not doing that, people will forget you. It takes 14 to 26 touches to get someone to look and remember your brand. So if you're not creating excuses to make those touches because it takes too long to execute, you're going to be screwed. That's where you come in. On-demand content creation. I'm making that up. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know.
This was good. I should have talked to you sooner, Ryan.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just saying, I might.
That. You're going to see this in our marketing now. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah. So but you find anyone listening.
It's giving me some things to think about. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone listening to this, if you want to do that, you have to pour on problems you're not thinking about. And it might not relate directly to your product. It's something a little bit further back.
So it's not even so much I really like all the examples you've given around insights and trends and numbers and statistics. Because I think a lot of times I'm even thinking about directly connecting to the person I'm talking to. Do you feel like you don't have enough time in your day to do all of this. Like, are you feeling, strapped for time, blah, blah, blah. But it's really like you're saying, it sounds to me like create this bigger macro problem to
Yeah,
back
make it.
some stats that you have in your back pocket.
Yeah, the one that I always love people talking about, and it sucks because everyone's going to hear this and roll their eyes because they've probably seen it. But like, there's a guy named Andy Raskins who, like, in 2012 wrote a blog post called "The Greatest Sales Deck I've Ever Seen," and he talks about Zora, the billing subscription company, going to market and disrupting the billing subscription market. But they became like the big company that does all the billing and stuff for all these B2B SaaS companies. And the reason they did it is they went to companies and sold people on the idea of why you need to turn into a subscription business. And this is how you have an impact. I used to buy Adobe Premiere to do video editing, and I'd pay $700 and I'd have it for 4 years. And then every 4 years, Adobe would have to get me to come back and rebuy the software and not switch to Final Cut. Microsoft did the same thing with Microsoft Office. You'd go buy Office for $300 or $400 and keep it for a long time, and then they'd have to rechase you to upgrade and make sure that the product was better. Zora went to those companies and said, hey, people are moving to a subscription economy. They did it with cable. They're doing it with Netflix. They're doing it with Amazon. If you don't have a subscription business, you're going to be left back. And instead of fighting to get these people back every 3 or 4 years, you could have them stay with you for 20 years instead and make more money. Give them gradual releases. And it changes the whole philosophy of a company. Zora did category creation. They sold people on the subscription economy. It's the same thing. You got to peel back that problem. But the biggest reason you want to do this, Taylor and anyone listening, is because if you do this, it's contagious. If you tell me a compelling pitch, the buying committee today is 12 people at a company. It's not one person. They need to go talk to other people. And we're not in desk anymore, like where I could go pull someone in and be like, hey, come sit on this call. A lot of us are remote. You want to get someone to talk about an idea, you'll get out of a call. What are you going to do? You're going to go hop on Microsoft Teams and be like, I was just talking to Taylor. Holy crap, we're not putting content out often enough. We are, but it's taking way too long and it's too challenging. Maybe we should shift and think about using Creative Shizzle's on-demand content creation platform to really level up our marketing game and make it more about quantity as opposed to quality. Now I'm grabbing my popcorn and I'm listening.
Yeah, and you're gonna just like email. You're gonna Slack that around, Teams it around. Hey, go check out this link. It's not necessarily gonna be that like big buying committee all at the meeting at the same time. That's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, for us, we're doing that with paid prospecting now. And I looked at other companies. I went and looked at what Drift did we just redid our website, we redid our pitch deck, but the messaging's consistent across the board. And that's the idea, is like, if I'm all over the place in my messaging and each piece of content, the customer is going to be too. This makes it so that there's kind of a Bible that we can all stick to.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Ryan, so you are just really passionate about sales and marketing, and
I love it.
I think very forward thinking, and I'm curious, what do you think what's on the horizon for sales and marketing in 2025 that we haven't even seen yet?
Okay, everyone's probably expecting me to say something about artificial intelligence. I will tell you this: the AI stuff needs to be viewed as a way for you to be more creative. It's a creative partner. That's how to think about it with this stuff. And I think that there's I'll give you an example. I did a video called What is Paid Prospecting that I threw up on my website. I told the story about how 2,000 years ago in Rome, people used to have rocks that they would sell to travelers coming through the city. And I wanted to make a video of that. And for me to go do that, 5 years ago at Lead IQ, I would have gone and bought a toga. I would have worked out for a couple of weeks so that you guys wouldn't see a flabby man in a toga. But I would have. I'm dropping truth bombs for the people here. Anyway, but I would have literally filmed that B-roll and reenacted it. But instead, I was able to go into Sora and put in a prompt to be like, make me a Roman merchant selling granite and marble at a market. And I threw that in my video, And like, I didn't have to go and be bogged down with that. We're going to need to start thinking about like, I can use this thing for cool, fun ideas. It's not to replace stock footage. It's to make your own footage that makes sense, that's cool and interesting. We need to think of it like that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think that it's also, I think it's a creative partner and it's like an efficiency partner. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
It's like
Um,
get rid of all the people.
I actually think that like, it's funny whenever I have a good like what I think is a good idea for something, I'll write it down in my notepad on my phone. And what ends up happening is like I'll have an idea and I won't use it for something, and then I'll figure out how to use it eventually. And like I'll give you a good example of this. I know when I was at Lead IQ, we wanted to break into a bunch of accounts, and I had this idea 12 years before Lead IQ of like, what if I grabbed a camera and I serenaded people with a string quartet and like filmed videos for them and then emailed it to them and said, hey, we got this string quartet for you. Go watch this video. And then customize these pitch videos. It stayed in my notepad for years. And then eventually, when I was at Lead IQ, we're like, hey, we want to go get some logo accounts so people trust us and believe in us. I literally I hired a string quartet and we filmed this and we did a bunch of these. And we ended up getting like a 60% book rate on meetings doing it. That idea sat in my notepad for 12 years and the execution of it was kind of hard. Today, if I wanted to do that, why couldn't I go grab a string quartet video using a generative AI thing and make a video and then voice over my voiceover and just edit it really quickly in Adobe? Like,
Yeah.
these are things that you're going to be able to do to execute so you can test stuff and it doesn't have to be as heavy lifting.
Yeah, it's funny. My son even was telling me this weekend about how he's like, I started doing video editing last night because I don't know, he stayed up till like 5 a.m. on Saturday night, and I was like, what were you even doing? He was like, I started editing video. I'm like, really?
Cool.
Tell me about that. He's like, yeah, I was using CapCut. There's like this meme thing on the internet with something something and something something, and I was doing this AI voice over like Minecraft scenes, and I'm like, hey, good for you. Like you were practicing a new skill. Like, yeah. And I think there's going to be so much more of that where you can create something out of like very little in terms of like the cost or like the resources that you need.
It's funny when I go back and I think about like when I learned how to video edit because I skateboarded and I wasn't that kid. I was the kid that didn't get better and everyone else around me got better at skateboarding. So I was like, well, I need a way to hang out with my friends, so I'll buy a camera and I'll film them. And then I started buying editing gear and I'd film my friends skating and then I'd cut videos and put them together online and throw them up. And then YouTube came out. That changed everything too. But like, yeah. I didn't think that I was getting a PhD in content creation, skateboarding with my friends when I was 12 years old or 13 years old, but I was. And like my friend John and I did a podcast about Goodfellas, like a movie that we both loved, like in 2012 in 2002 before there was even podcasting. Not knowing what it was, we were like, let's just record ourselves talking about Goodfellas. We didn't host it. We never put it online. Thank God no one saw it. But like, create. Like, if you can create stuff, you get really good at it the more that you do it. Don't overthink stuff. Just try and get stuff out every day, even if it's bad. Like, get stuff out every day and you'll get better at it organically.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I've got one more question. How are the dogs? Don't you have 3 corgis?
I do.
Before we close out.
I'm carefully upstairs so they wouldn't be barking because I wanted to do this from my desk downstairs, but I was worried it would be too loud.
Corgis are barkers, right?
Oh yeah. So they're meant to be herding dogs. So like if you stand up for any reason, all right, one of mine, Arwen, is so smart that if I were to say goodbye to you on a Zoom call, she'll get up and come to my feet because she knows I'm going to get up to like either go to the bathroom or get coffee or get a drink. Like she's ready to come herd me to the kitchen while I'm grabbing a drink or something. So you got to be careful. They're doing pretty well. The only problem is my wife and I were cutting one of ours, Ruby's nails the other day, and we cut the nail too short. And this is useful for dog owners out there. If you ever cut the nail too short, the dogs have a thing called a quick. And what it is basically is a dog nail is actually connected to the bone of like it's a bone. It's connected to the bone. It's not like a fingernail on a human. we cut it too short and she just started bleeding everywhere. We're like, oh my God, what do we do? And like, we put pressure on it and stuff. If you ever do that, you can use flour to stop the bleeding. That's the life hack. So
That's good to know.
yeah,
Okay.
look,
I know
listen.
about the quick, and I cut my dog's quick one time too, and also freaked out.
Like they bleed a lot. It's usually okay. It's not an emergency.
Yeah.
You use flour, you can stop the bleeding. Another one is cornstarch. They make stuff just to stop the quick. But anyway, we're probably never going to cut her nails again. Too scary. Too traumatic. I'm done. I can't do it.
It's traumatic. After that, I started only having the dog groomer like do the nail trimmings because
our problem is our dog groomers like booked out 9 weeks. So like. And they don't cut them that short because they don't want to cut the quick. So like the cycle of it, we're like, we got a crazy snowstorm here. And I'm like, oh, I got to figure out how to like let her walk on the snow without her nails getting hitting her pads and hurting her. So
yeah. Well, Ryan, this has been great. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for workshopping some stuff with me. And
we talked too long, didn't we? We blew it. We blew your podcast format.
Did I stop echoing at least?
I think so.
Okay.
But anyone listening to this, Taylor's voice will be echoing in your mind for years. Think about it. Creative shizzle, shizzle, shizzle.
You're welcome. Yeah. Well, Ryan, if people want to get in touch with you, follow along, find out about Pitchfire, use Pitchfire. I think I want to use Pitchfire, so I'm going to talk to you about that. What's the best way to find you?
If you go to pitchfire.com, we have 2 buttons on there. One's for buyers to sign up and use our plugins to send salespeople pitching you to Pitchfire. The other button will take you to a meeting directly with me, and I will tell you how to deploy a paid prospecting strategy across your marketing arm. Follow me on LinkedIn if you want to see content that we do, like we were talking about earlier. Like I probably put 3 or 4 videos out a week now.
Yeah. I like your videos have come back. You're on fire.
I'm getting back to it. Yeah. You know, it's hard to do a video when you don't have a good website to send people to. And that was something we had to really work on.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go check out the new website. I'm excited about that.
Oh, no. Now you're the judge.
Not at all. I want to see it. I love seeing like cool when people are like, oh, we have a new website. I'll go check it out.
I want to give a shout out to Sahil Patel from Spiralize, who like inspired me to redo our website because he does this great show. Taylor, you should probably go on it. You'd be great on it. He does this show called Sahil Patel. He does like this thing called CRO Crimes, and they do like a game show where they like go through a bunch of landing pages and talk about what's better and which one's better against someone. And like I did it as a contestant. And I saw these landing pages and all his critiques, and I'm in the episode. I just posted about it. I posted the episode yesterday, but I'm in my head. I'm like, oh man, our website sucks. I need to fix our stuff. Like it inspired me to level up a little bit. If you're looking for some great content, I'd recommend that. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, and I hope this was helpful to everyone listening today. And until next time, go get all your good shizzle done.